big thanks to our patrons, Derek and Carl. Thank you guys heaps. You're awesome, helping keep the lights on. It's really helpful. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy.
Tell me, though, what's his technique? That last strike, it seems invincible.
Hello, and welcome to Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist podcast. My name is Connor.
This is Omar.
I'm Emma.
Yes, we're all here. And Omar and Emma have blogs. They do other Iron Fist stuff too. They're here too now. It's great. Yeah, so I'm back after a while. I wasn't really ever gone because I was still editing the podcast and stuff. So, we haven't been the most consistent lately, but it's kind of hard when Marvel's trying its hardest to kill any interest I have and just make me miserable every time I think about Iron Fist. So, but we're not.
Okay.
We're back today to we'll continue our Heroes for Hire coverage, which is kind of coming to a close. We have 4 issues left, but we also have a Quicksilver crossover, so we're not really that close, but we kind of are. So, but afterwards, I feel like we're just going to jump into Immortal Iron Fist, because why not, right?
Ooh, yes.
But yeah, so I just want to start this podcast with this statement. Marvel, I hate you. I'm not giving you any money ever because you've swindled me and you keep swindling me. And I'm like a one-man boycott. So you can pick up this issue in trades and stuff, but I recommend that you pirate it, just not to give them any money. So yeah, I think you should do that. Yeah, so I'm not even watching the new Daredevil. They're just that.
Oh, me neither.
Oh.
Me neither, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm guessing that's for different reasons, though, right?
I mean, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fair enough.
It's not interesting to me.
The Born Again trailer?
I haven't even watched it, to be honest.
No, I haven't either. Did you?
Okay. Yeah, I did. The trailer was good. It's trying to be like the Netflix series. They say it's going to be darker, probably even more violent. Doesn't matter whether it's more violent or less violent as long as they give me a good story. So that's all I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, they say that a lot. There are people out there that kind of care because there's a lot of comic book fans that are just sort of and I'm not talking about there's comic book fans that love violence, right? Genuinely love violence. They're I want to read Garth Ennis, I want to read Crossed, I want to read Punisher and just watch people get obliterated. But then there's comic book fans who I want my Batman movie to be MA because Batman's mature and there needs to be violence because I feel insecure about reading comic books. That kind of crowd.
Yeah.
So my point is with Daredevil, it really doesn't matter if it's violent or not. You can imply violence, you can get around it so much. I think what matters, as you said, is it's good. And I didn't like Daredevil season 3, except for Bullseye, he was awesome. But
yeah.
Really? Yeah, I liked season 3.
I didn't really like it either. I found it pretty disappointing. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that aside, going back to what you're saying about the violence, I'm a Daredevil completist. I think about Daredevil a lot. I have a lot of feelings. And I'm a particular Daredevil fan who actually, most of my favorite Daredevil stories are not violent. Yeah. That's not a side of the character. I enjoy the ones that have violence when it's done well. I'm fine with violence. Sense. But many of my favorite stories, it's not an integral part of the character to me. And so the idea of them sticking in violence just to go, oh yeah, Daredevil's violent, so we got to have people, Netflix, limbs breaking and stuff. It's I'm not super into that.
I can't I don't think Daredevil in general has been particularly violent. Like the Frank
No,
Miller
Yeah,
run,
is it?
right, is not that violent. Like it's not particularly
no, it's
graphic,
not.
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to Bullseye and Kingpin and the sort, since it was in the 80s, they had to
Yeah,
adhere to the Comics Code Authority. So he did what he could to imply violence, but it's not very graphic
yeah.
always.
No.
There are some, like when Elektra was killed, that was pretty graphic, even if it's you don't see the actual blade going through.
I thought you said
But
Electro for a second. And my brain was like going into overtime. Like, wait a minute, when's he die?
no, I mean they're the
The
Yeah,
the
Electro. Yeah,
famous
yeah, the
Electro death
battle,
scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think people think about the Bendis's run and Brubaker's run and so on, which get very dark, particularly Brubaker's run,
yeah.
and there are violent bits, but it's not like it's blood and gore. Even
No,
mm,
people equate darkness with violence in a way that isn't
yeah,
actually representative of what's actually in the stories, I think.
yeah, and when they say mature, they think of violence, which is not.
no.
It's
Yeah,
just the stories are for more mature readers. That it doesn't necessarily mean it has to have sex and violence in it. It's just that younger readers wouldn't be able to appreciate it as much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Bullseye is an inherently violent character in
Yeah,
the
you're
sense
good.
that
Yeah,
like he
yeah, yeah. I
kills
mean,
people, but yeah, it's never been particularly graphic. But I guess the most graphic things I can think of involve Bullseye.
yeah,
He
yeah. I
took
mean,
that
he
on
does
already
bring
with
that
Nikita.
with him.
Uh,
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
not. I've yeah my relationship to that corner of the MCU is not particularly. I want Luke and Danny back, and until I get them, I'm not really super interested in seeing Daredevil in 5 million things for. So
Okay.
that's kind of
Yeah.
where I stand on that.
Yeah,
Because
although I
it's
do think
Mhm.
personally, I really do think that at the end of the um this first season of Born Again that they'll bring everybody back. I just don't know in what fashion, but you get the feeling that it's going to lead up to it.
Well,
I'll
I hope not
celebrate if it
because
happens,
Danny
but
doesn't have
Yeah.
the Iron Fist. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, we know Metzler was probably going to
Mm.
give it back to him, but he won't. I'm guessing he won't have anything to do with the show.
Well, he
So
did have it at the end of the during the post-credit
well, he
scene.
had the guns, but
So we might have two of them. I don't know.
mm,
I don't know how that's going to work out.
yeah. I don't know. I think they'll just bring back stuff that's popular. Like I can't see, or they'll just move on Danny as they've been doing in everything else that he's been featured in. So, but yeah, Daredevil. Yeah, the fact that they're doing like Fisk again. When I thought season 3, I was like, oh, this will be good. But then they ended up just doing the same character arcs as season
Yeah.
1 for Matt and
Exactly,
Fisk.
exactly. There it is.
I was
Mm,
Yeah.
like, oh,
okay.
okay. We just told the same story again, except Bullseye was there.
Yeah,
So
exactly. That was my exact
Oh,
complaint. Yeah, it was just
okay.
there's so many
Yeah.
stories they could have done. They just went, we're just gonna do Matt's arc about whether he should kill people again, but yeah, now Bullseye's here. Exactly, yeah.
and
That drove me
proving
nuts.
Fisk is corrupt and stuff, and it's like,
Right.
Hmm.
how did people not pick up that it was the same thing? Like people picked up that Force Awakens was just the original Star Wars again, but they didn't pick up on this.
Exactly.
I guess it started off different. But to be
I
honest,
don't
I
know,
really hope
yeah.
they kill Karen. If they kill Karen, I might actually watch it legally, of course. Well, she's so like I love her in the comics, but in the show, she's so annoying. She walks around and gets better characters killed wherever she goes. Drives me crazy. Anyway,
I like Karen in all things, but I respect your opinion on that. I do think that's a common opinion. Yeah.
there's also Rebecca. If she was here, she says the fact that Karen just becomes a journalist drives her crazy.
Oh, yeah, that I didn't. That was a weird
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ben's dead. I
That was
guess I'll
just
have his job now.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm not for me, the one that I wasn't most too fond of at the end was that she was now part of the law firm as
Yeah,
one of the
that
named ones.
Wait, was she?
I
She a lawyer
well, I
now?
think
I
so.
don't think she
I
was.
No, yeah, I think so. Yeah, they were vague about it. The sense I got, yeah, I don't think they would just have her suddenly have a law degree. I think that would be a bridge too
Yeah.
far. I felt like it was
Yes.
just kind of,
Yes.
oh, we're gonna add her to the name just because
To the name.
she's an integral part of the team, but not in the sense. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the sense I got from it, that it was just kind of a
Hmm.
because yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's.
I do understand. It's just
But no, you're right. It did present that way.
they didn't have to name her in the firm.
No, like
Yeah,
you could. Yeah, there's like your friends, but
so
it's like
yeah.
the firm isn't like the friendship firm, is it? Like it's still like a nickname.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
And I
I
get,
mean,
yeah,
I understand where Connor's coming from, where other people are coming from, where they're annoyed by
yeah.
Karen. I'm okay with Karen. I just don't like it when she takes up too much space in the Daredevil universe.
yeah.
I
Which
mean,
happened in the
Uh,
first season as well.
my thing about that is that I think there's a very fine line where she will often get criticized for doing the exact same things that Matt does. And so I do feel like there are some people who don't like her because due to sexism reasons. And so I don't think that's how you guys feel, but I have seen some of
Yeah.
that. And so I tend to get
Yeah.
a bit defensive of her, if only because there are so many people who are kind of unfair to her. So
I mean, I don't even think of it like
my
that.
feelings are complicated.
And even if that was the case for
Okay.
me, it's like I'm here for Daredevil and Matt. So like
Hmm.
this character I'm not here for. Like getting
Yeah.
more screen time is enough to annoy me, I think. Like
See,
when
I
it's
like the
like,
supporting cast. I'm a
Hmm.
supporting cast person, so yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I'm
like the
not.
supporting cast as well, but
As my Superman listeners will know, I'm definitely not a supporting cast person. Lois Lane
I
can
mean,
go in a
I
rocket into space.
yeah,
Wow.
I like supporting cast as long as they don't take uh the lead role too much. You can work a story around it
Yeah, Colleen.
yeah, I didn't like season 2, particularly of Iron Fist because of that.
Yeah,
They just really killed Danny's character just to give her the
They did.
spotlight. So
yeah. It started off
that's what I
so
hated.
well,
Yeah.
That's
and
actually
then
how I started the I Am Iron Fist blog because I was so angry I needed an
nice.
outlet, so I needed a blog. So
Yeah,
my wife helped me out to get all this anger out. So that's why I'm here 6 years later.
Well, we're glad to have you. I'm
7,
glad
yeah.
it. Oh wow, God, yeah,
It's been a
yeah. I'm
while.
yeah.
glad. I'm glad something good came out of that. Anyway.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we need to like distaste needs to be aired. Like honest criticism needs to come out at how they're just treating characters
Hmm.
we like, because they're not popular
Yeah.
characters, so it's easy to like kind of push them
Yeah.
around. Um, and anyway, it's annoying. But
Yeah. No, you're right. I agree. Yeah.
we're here going back to 1997 and John Ostrander's uh, like I don't. What was he doing? Like what? I just what made him think like that this is going to be a great five-parter? That's
Hmm.
look. We'll go into it. So we're on the Siege of Wundagore, part 1 of 5.
Hmm.
Heroes for Hire, 1997. The cover is to kill a tiger, and it's this Bane-looking guy
Hmm.
hitting Tiger in the back with some sort of scepter, and She-Hulk, Luke, and Danny reacting to it, and there's a big the evolutionary master in the back.
Hmm.
Yeah, so this is like start of a crossover with Quicksilver, and there's a lot of
Yeah, which he also writes at the time.
yes, that there's a lot of like editor notes, author notes, or whatever, referring
Hmm.
us to Quicksilver issues and like Black Knight Exodus special and stuff. And
Hmm.
yeah, look, I Okay, so a couple of points that I was talking about with Emma, right? That I just want to get out of the
Mm-hmm.
way because I don't really have that much to say. Is this still Pascal Ferry?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Ferry, but you don't draw animal people well. They, I just don't think they look good. I think they look weird and unappealing, and like not weird in a good way. And that's the other thing. This whole storyline is weird of like all these, this island of Dr. Moreau or whatever thing going on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I feel like if you're gonna be weird, you have to be interesting, as Emma was saying. And to me, this is weird and uninteresting.
Yeah.
This is like just okay. I don't really care about any of this. The monsters look bad, and I guess the interesting part is, well, I mean, I wasn't that interested, but I was like, oh, it's something. Is when everyone got turned into like chimps and stuff at the end of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, honestly, this storyline, I am just completely tuned out. I couldn't
Yeah,
care
it's
less.
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, it's a lot of lore. It's just a massive
Yeah.
amount of world building and lore and
Yeah.
exposition and introducing a million new characters and very
Mm-hmm.
little actual engaging story
Yeah,
stuff because you're so distracted trying to keep track of who's doing what and who this other person is and what's going on over here. It's it's it's
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to be invested in anything that's happening here.
they just
And yeah,
yeah.
you were saying, it's you can go really weird and interesting and with this strange concepts like this, and they just
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Yeah.
I think Ostrander was really building everything up to this ever since he introduced White Tiger to the series in the first issue.
Yeah.
Uh, one thing I really appreciate though about Ostrander is how um, he's able to he knows exactly where each character is coming from, where they were prior to the series, what they were doing, and integrate those things into the story. So I understand how it can be, too much because you've got all of these backstories coming together and culminating into, one big, well, not exactly just one, but five, stories that are a culmination of the 14 issues that came before. Uh, but it is a bit much for people who don't really even know who the High Evolutionary is and who the other creatures are here. And it's just, I think it's just 90s stuff. This
Yeah.
is
It is
practically
very
what Bob
90s.
Harris's run is mostly about. They
I mean,
needed a
yeah.
superhero team, so they gave us Heroes for Hire, but it's like an amalgamation of uh characters from all over the Marvel universe and then bring them into the Heroes for Hire theme. So it didn't feel like Heroes for Hire anymore. It felt more like an Avengers Defenders kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess with what you were saying, I guess it applies to anyone who's reading just Heroes for Hire is like not going to have any investment in.
Not too much hiring of
Yeah,
heroes.
well, unless they're reading Heroes for Hire and they're like, oh, White Tiger is like the best character ever, then I don't think they'll be invested in this storyline. It's the same thing with the Eternals earlier on.
Hmm.
Like it's just very uninteresting. And like I read a lot of history, so I'm used to reading a lot of like just names being thrown
Hmm.
around. But like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the books and stuff, like I'll have context for who those names are and they're relevant and they're not badly drawn like goat people. And so it's just like, yeah, this is not. I guess it just comes. This is not why I'm reading Heroes for Hire. I like
Hmm.
make a book about these animal people if you care so much, because this is only relevant to White Tiger. And I understand that in team books it's normal. Like you have arcs that are focusing on one character's mythology. But boy,
Yeah,
sure,
that's a
yeah,
really good point that it doesn't. It's the idea of kind of what Heroes for Hire is all about. And obviously, we've had since this other slightly different versions of Heroes for Hire. We had the version that Misty Knight was running, but this Heroes for Hire has always kind of been, street level and very focused on, a core team, and kind of more down to earth issues. And I'm not saying it has to stay exactly that, but this just feels like such a profoundly different comic. You're right. I hadn't thought about that, but I do think that's part of what's lost here, is that the thing that makes Heroes for Hire feel like a very specific and unique team, separate from the Avengers or the Defenders and other teams that are out there who are doing this more kind of out there stuff.
Yeah, that's probably why they ended in a few issues after this.
Yeah, I mean,
Possibly, yeah.
I don't mind them being like the Avengers and stuff, but it's just like White Tiger's mythos doesn't interest me. Like it just doesn't seem that compelling. Like if this, you could replace this with Skrulls and it would be way better, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where a story can lead into that. Yeah.
Well, just I don't know. I just think the animals are goofy and uninteresting, and maybe it'll get better. Maybe like there'll be some sort of reason for all this. Because as I said, like this is kind of normal to focus on one character's universe, but so far we've had Black Knight and White Tiger now, and they've both been kind of duds. And a lot of that, I think, is also just exposition. Like it doesn't. And again, this is like a '90s problem across the board at Marvel. They don't give the reader much explanation when they just throw in like other universes into a story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know what? You're right about that. How it became the big story arcs were about Black Knight, and this time it's about White Tiger.
Yeah.
I wish they had one that involved Kunlun. In particular, where they traveled to Kunlun and took care of some stuff there, or if they had resolved the Kunlun thing here in Heroes for Hire instead of in Iron Fist Wolverine.
Well, I think they were
that's what I was wondering,
right?
is if there was some kind of reason they broke that off out of this comic, because it would make sense, because it just ties right in.
Because they've already
it should have been here.
Set it up. But the Island of Dr. Moreau here probably got the series cancelled, so they couldn't do it in the thing.
You're right.
That's my guess, just from reading this, because they have spent a lot of effort setting up the Kunlun thing in the pages of this comic. So I feel like that might have been the conclusive arc or a arc like that. But we do get the Iron Fist arc, which I think we all enjoyed, just because Daddy's like, hey, I'm back from my trip where I stole that key and did all this stuff, and I found my sister. And he's like, oh, yeah. I don't know what happened to her, but I still have family. I'm not alone. And it's like, oh, sorry, buddy. It turns out she died, so you are alone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even this, knowing the context, I go, yeah, okay, cool. But there's no reason for him to mention this. For someone who's reading Heroes for Hire and did not read that, this is not context. They have no idea what he's talking about. And yeah, the fact that he's just kind of like, oh yeah, I found my sister and I don't know what happened to her, but whatever, I actually don't know why they stuck that in there, apart from being a nod to people who did read it, to go, oh hey, yeah, thanks for reading that. We're going to mention it here. Honestly, it just feels it's kind of a weird way to do it.
This, to be honest, I get what you're saying, but I didn't even bat an eyelid, just because it seemed like, I'm not saying this is how you should do it, but it seemed very normal to me, like, because he was absent the last issue, so it's him coming like, oh, this is why I was away.
I was basically gone, yeah.
And this is
That's
also
true, yeah.
This also was like, hey, oh, you didn't know about that. Well, this is where you can read Iron Fist Adventures that he was just on. Helpful mark.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
But I like how Luke's like, oh, we're your family. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, She-Hulk didn't even want to be here, and then she points it out. She's like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not family."
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm
did
just
really like
here.
that.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, Luke is family. Everyone else, I think it's a bit of a stretch. And it's not
Yeah.
Jim, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Just a robot who's like, anyway, yeah,
Yeah, I did like that moment of Luke going, you've got me,
yeah.
you're not alone, which is always
Yeah.
nice. They do that a lot, and it's always great.
You only got Luke, Daddy. He's the only one you can count on, probably, because Misty's too busy with Falcon now. So
Yeah,
Yeah, we should have seen more Misty and Colleen here. We only
yeah, it
got them
would have been
for
nice.
a couple of issues, but they should have been here at least.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to rag on this series completely though, because there's been good issues, but yeah, a lot of it's been kind of whack, as they say, for me personally, anyway. Um, so, but yeah,
yeah.
like to be honest, that's like all my thoughts on the issue, really. So you guys could like let me what do you ow sorry, my cat's biting me because I'm annoying him. What do you guys think? Did you guys like it? Is there anything you guys want to talk about with this one?
M-
I think, yeah, there's not much that actually happens in this issue that feels interesting or worth discussing.
Mm,
I always I do like the way that Pascal Ferry draws fight scenes. They're always very dynamic. So I enjoyed the fight scenes,
mhm.
even if I kept mixing up which animal was what, where.
Lady Venom.
Um, I do actually like, I don't think it's presented in the most compelling way, but I do like the aspect of White Tiger where she was designed as this counter to this other guy who no one else is able to defeat, and that's her purpose in life, is to take him down. I enjoy
Mhm.
characters like that, so I
Yeah.
think that's a
Mhm.
really interesting aspect of her character. I wish it was just focused on that as opposed to bringing in all these other characters. If it was just her and the team with her having this mission, I
Mhm.
think that
Mhm.
could have been far more interesting.
They should call
Um,
Batman
Mhm. Yeah.
because he's Man
but
Beast. It sounds like a Batman villain.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, other than that, and I mean, it is a five-parter, so it's not a full story. So I think that's
Mhm.
also kind of slowing it down. I also liked, I mean, it's a little moment, but we get some of the fallout from White Tiger not knowing how to do human romance. And Danny talking to her
Yeah.
very, very gently, but going, I I like Misty. I like you as a friend, but I'm not going to date you, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, it's called
And
the
so I
friend
Yeah.
did
zone,
like
kids.
it. Yeah, I mean, but it's
Yeah.
a nice moment,
She
and
got
I
friend
like.
zoned.
So I appreciated that. But
I
yeah,
think that is
other than
worth
that,
noting because
yeah.
Uh-huh.
that's not really
Yes.
used to cause more drama, right? Like an
Right.
older
Mhm.
comic would be like, "Oh, Danny's so annoyed at White Tiger that White Tiger attacked his girlfriend that they're gonna have a fight scene before
Mhm.
Right.
they make up." But here, Danny's just like really mature and gentle with her, the literal Tiger
Yeah.
Yeah.
lady. So you're right, yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah, and it's also like I think um White Tiger having a crush on Danny for so many issues, and then you had that big Misty and White Tiger fight, and then now it's Danny confronting White Tiger, and just making sure that she knows where he stands. So the thing with this is it didn't drag on too much, which is good. But it's also good that they addressed it, even in the middle of an impending big battle.
Yeah.
And it shows Danny being a leader here, and also
Hmm.
knowing where he really stands. So I mean that's the kind of Danny that I want, whether it's in the comics or in a TV show or in a movie. Somebody who knows exactly who he is, where he stands, and he's able to articulate that in a comic book, in his words. Because as a martial artist and a master martial artist, you should be more in control of your feelings and your decisions than most people, right? Because that's part of the discipline. And so that's, going back to the Netflix series, that's why I didn't like that too much. It's because Danny, came back from Kunlun without much self-discipline, without emotional control. And here he's showing how mature he is as a leader and even as a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. He
Mhm.
didn't have that much control over himself, and
Yeah.
I guess not all martial arts focus on they'll focus on discipline in terms of showing up and sticking to routine, but not all of them encourage discipline. But I would imagine that Kunlun would encourage that very much,
Yeah.
and he totally hit that
Mhm.
kid with the stick, and that was great.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, and I think
I
that's
do not hit kids with sticks. Just clarifying. Just fictional show. It's fine.
and that's been a part of Danny's growth, right? It's from
Mm,
that origin story with so much pain and anger, and with him being
yes.
so tied up inside, to over the years
Mm,
seeing him mellow out and calm down and become more of a positive force in the world,
yeah.
positive about himself, and being able to extend that toward others. And he is someone who cares a lot about the people in his life, and
Mm,
it's nice to see him extend that to White Tiger, who he's not. I
yes.
mean, they're teammates, they're friends. He's not super close to her, but he sees that she's hurting, and he tries to help her
Yeah.
out as well as he can in a kind of an awkward situation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I
you
like that.
see, and you actually see that throughout this arc. No, you have Danny being concerned for a teammate, a comrade, and he doesn't um, back away from that type of emotion in terms of White Tiger, but you know that he's doing this as a friend and as a leader and as a teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they all turn into apes.
Yes.
I don't know if White Tiger does, but the others do. Ape Tiger.
Yeah, one thing about these next few issues, this one plus the next two, is that I do like is how um, they made it like a mystery in a sense as to who this what's his name again? This
The guy who White Tiger
uh
attacked.
yeah,
Yeah.
the guy that White Tiger attacked was, and why they had this animosity between them. So I like that mystery part. So anytime you wove in like a mystery, like as to who did this or who's this
Yeah.
character, what's wrong with them, that keeps me interested, keeps me reading. And
Yeah.
big battles are good. I like it when they fight like uh, what Emma was saying. I like the fight scenes that Pascal Ferry draws, and I also like the part of the story where it becomes like it ended. The issue ended with a cliffhanger where you've got um, the heroes for hire turned into apes, so you don't know what's going to happen next. So these are the parts that I liked about the first part of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. I am mildly curious to the identity of the guy. I don't think the revelation will be satisfying for me, but I do want to know who he is.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, that's right.
because he's probably just going to be some
Y-
animal guy that I've never heard of.
yeah, yeah. What was his name again? I read
Um,
this the other day.
Man Beast or something like that.
Yeah, Man Beast
Let me see.
was supposedly what's his name when he was hiding his identity?
Oh yeah.
I have
Anon,
no
or is
idea.
that Anon or something?
And on that would be a bit on the nose, wouldn't it? Maybe, yeah. Um, maybe I mentioned this before, but John Ostrander did a Star Wars series I read, which is pretty decent. So lots of world building,
Oh, cool.
like lots of world building.
I'm not
Mhm.
surprised.
Yeah, but it
Is
was
this
like
recent?
Yeah.
yeah, it was like he was doing this
Is it
series
good?
just before Disney took over. So he had actually quite a big thing
Oh.
planned out about the
Mhm.
Dawn of the Jedi, but when Disney took over,
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
obviously they scrapped all the
Interesting.
stuff, so he didn't really get to finish it. But
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's his strength mostly, though. Just knowing where each character comes from, and then tying that into a story.
yeah,
Um, again, this is very 90s, so this is how
yes,
they kind of do stuff. So I'm not surprised. So I'm just here to read it and have fun while reading it. So
yeah.
I enjoyed it a bit, although I did get bored a little somewhere in the middle.
Which is like, yeah,
Yeah.
like these issues are like 20 pages long and they have pictures, so it should be hard to
Hmm.
make someone bored, right? Like, but you know, it's a bad sign.
And it
Yeah.
was weird that it crossed over with Quicksilver rather than something else. But
I
I do
guess, as you said,
understand
he
that
was writing
it's
both, right?
yeah, he
So
was writing the other, he was writing Quicksilver, so I understand. But it's just like a weird mashup.
yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess the Quicksilver doesn't really surprise me, like, given the series so far, like that was based here with anyone. So, I guess, yeah. Uh, any other thoughts, guys, on this one? Or
I don't think so.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's very straightforward, very easy read. Uh, you knew this was coming, and you just want to know how it's going to end,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
cool. Yeah,
I
there's
just
a
didn't think it was
reason.
going to be a five-parter, though.
Uh,
Yeah. I thought it was one of three, and when I saw it, oh, it's one of five. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Huge story.
So I think like next time I think we're gonna try and cover two parts unless it's like super dense and annoying. So that'll be probably coming out. I
Well, the
would
next
say,
one's going to be Quicksilver, though, so we
yeah.
might
So the
have
next,
to cover two.
yeah, Quicksilver and Heroes for Hire. So I think that'll be probably at the end of February or after.
Hmm.
And yeah, look, there's a reason I prolonged the Daredevil discussion at the start and kept bringing back talking points because yeah, there wasn't that
That's
much to
fair.
say about this issue. So
Okay.
yeah, not for me anyway. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
think there are other story arcs, or at least a other story arc coming up that I think we'll have more to say about that I'm looking forward to getting to. But yeah,
Hmm.
this one I'm not
swell.
super into.
Hmm. So
Okay,
after this series, we'll be going to Immortal Iron Fist, right?
that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, we could go
Works
for
for
it.
me. That would be
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, because
because we're
I
not.
always like a good excuse to read Immortal Iron Fist.
I mean, because this podcast started going in order, but I think once we got through the first 30 issues or so of Power Man and Iron Fist, it was like we may as well just go all over the place because otherwise it'll be a very long time, and we
Hmm.
want to change it up. So, yeah, Immortal
Okay.
Iron Fist with smatterings of stuff like Deadly Hands probably and other sorts of things as usual.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So until next time, may your fist become
Uh,
unto like a thing of iron, and watch that
there is
video.
there is there is one thing we didn't mention, and it's a tiny thing. Um, Omar, I think I know you
Hmm.
watched it. Connor, did you watch the What If episode that had Kwai Jun Fan in it?
No.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Worth
yeah. I did.
mentioning. So the new season of Marvel What If, which is their MCU version of the standard Marvel What If, comic series that they've done over the years, has a version of a former
Yeah.
Iron Fist, Kwai Jun Fan, who is introduced in Immortal Iron Fist. And there are no direct Iron Fist references, but it's
Mhm.
really cool to see a character like that mentioned in anything ever.
Yeah.
So, worth
Yeah.
mentioning.
Even if he was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like it's the only one that I really watched because when I found out that he appeared, what's great about it is not only that we have an Iron Fist in whatever universe that is that people got to talk about Iron Fist,
yeah,
a previous Iron Fist, whether it's a previous Iron Fist or it's Danny or somebody else. It's always good when people are talking about him. I saw a couple of articles that came out almost as soon as the episode ran. It's very interesting because they were able to figure out who the kid was, and probably because the news outlets, the comic book news outlets, um, probably got the reference to Iron Fist because of some of the things that Kate Bishop said and stuff. So they didn't call him Iron Fist in that episode, but people put two and two together, and then there were a couple of other articles that came out, and a few of the Iron Fist social media accounts um, recognized him and posted about him as well. So it was good because um, in a way, in a small way, Iron Fist trended for a couple of days. So
yes,
I'm always happy about that.
Are you always
yeah.
happy about that though? Because I remember a time when Iron Fist was trending a lot, and it
Oh
wasn't
yeah. Oh, well, in a good way, in a good way.
Eh,
Not the
negative
not
way. Yeah.
the negative, angry,
yeah,
like you want to throw the kitchen sink out
yeah.
kind of way.
Ugh. Cool. Well, I guess if anyone wants to watch that, make sure you do it illegally. So go to YouTube or your local torrent site.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, until next time, watch that video of the gorilla breaking the coconut with his fist because it's pretty cool. And maybe that's how strong our heroes will be now that they're gorillas.
Yes.
So, all right. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Iron Fist and all other characters in these comics are properties of Marvel and Disney. Any music or images we use belong to their respective copyright holders. We do this for fun, so please don't sue us. You can contact us at sonsofthedragonpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us mail, comments, thoughts, anything you want really. It doesn't even have to be related to Iron Fist. If you don't want it read on the air though, make sure you mention that. You can also find us on Facebook, the Immortal Iron Fist Podcast, Sons of the Dragon, our Twitter, at Iron Fist Podcast, our SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Sons of the Dragon, hyphens where the spaces are, our YouTube, Connor Carl, just search Iron Fist Podcast and you'll find us real quick. We are also on iTunes. If you find us there, give us a review and rate us. If it's less than 5 stars, please say why so we can improve the show. And we're on Podcast Garden in the literature section, and last but not least, head over to our WordPress, Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist Podcast.wordpress.com. That's where I put all the show notes. I'd like to thank Thomas Tissot for composing the Iron Fist theme song we use at the start of our Iron Fist episodes on the podcast. I'd also like to thank Peter John Sikowski for composing the Power Man and Iron Fist theme we use at the start of our Power Man and Iron Fist episodes. And finally, thanks to you guys for listening.